Imagine you're sitting in the comfort of your home. The familiar warmth of your personal space surrounds you. The quiet hum of appliances a soothing background noise. Home is where you feel safe, where the outside world and its dangers seem far away. But what if that sense of security was shattered? What if, in the place you consider your sanctuary, you were suddenly faced with unimaginable terror? Tonight, we're diving into 3 real-life incidents where being home alone turned into a nightmare. These stories aren't just fiction. They happened. They're chilling reminders that even in the most familiar places, safety can be an illusion. So settle in, but be prepared. These true events will make you rethink the safety of your own 4 walls. Our first story takes us back to Long Island, New York, in December 1992. Katie Beers was just a typical 9-year-old girl, full of life and energy. She loved to play and was known for her bright personality. However, Katie's home life was far from perfect. Her mother struggled to take care of her, and Katie was often left in the care of family friends. One of these individuals was a man named John Esposito, a local businessman who seemed friendly and was known to be close to the family. Esposito had a history of being overly interested in children, but no one suspected the dark intentions he harbored beneath his friendly demeanor. On December 28, 1992, just 2 days before Katie's 10th birthday, she disappeared without a trace. That day, Esposito had taken her under the pretense of getting her a birthday gift, something Katie was excited about. But instead of going to the store, Esposito drove her to his home, where he had prepared for this moment for a long time. Beneath his house was a soundproof underground bunker, meticulously constructed and designed to keep Katie hidden from the outside world. The bunker was small, cold, and completely isolated, with barely enough room for a child to stand. Esposito's plan was to keep Katie there indefinitely, a terrifying thought for any child. As soon as Katie disappeared, a massive search effort was launched. Her family, neighbors, and local authorities worked around the clock, with media outlets covering the story extensively. Katie's face was plastered on television and newspapers, with the community hoping for her safe return. Meanwhile, Esposito played a sickening game of deception. He reported Katie missing to the police, pretending to be concerned for her safety, and even participated in search efforts. He appeared on the news, giving interviews and shedding fake tears, all while knowing exactly where Katie was, just a few feet beneath the ground in his hidden bunker. Inside the bunker, Katie endured 17 days of captivity. Esposito fed her irregularly, and she was left in the dark, completely cut off from the world. Despite the terrifying situation, Katie showed incredible resilience and intelligence beyond her years. She remained calm, collected, and even began to engage Esposito in conversations to gain his trust. She cleverly manipulated him, knowing that any signs of fear could make her situation worse. Katie also memorized the layout of the bunker and paid close attention to any possible way to escape, though opportunities were slim. Meanwhile, police grew suspicious of Esposito, particularly due to his odd behavior during the search efforts. He had a history of criminal activity, including past accusations of child abuse, but he had never been formally charged. Investigators began focusing on him as a prime suspect. After days of mounting pressure and police interrogation, Esposito's twisted plan began to crumble. Finally, he confessed to the kidnapping and led authorities to the underground bunker where Katie was being held. When police found Katie, she was physically unharmed but deeply traumatized by the ordeal. Her calm demeanor during the rescue astonished investigators. Katie's bravery and ability to survive such an ordeal at such a young age became a story of hope and resilience. Esposito was arrested and later sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. The case shocked the nation. Katie's resilience in the face of such terror was remarkable. Katie was eventually adopted by a loving family where she could finally feel safe. This incident is a grim reminder that sometimes the most horrifying dangers aren't strangers lurking in the dark, but people we know and trust. Our second story centers on the unsettling real-life experiences of Donnie Decker, a 21-year-old from Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania, in February 1983. Following the death of his abusive grandfather, Donnie sought refuge in the home of family friends, hoping to find some peace. However, what transpired in the coming days left everyone involved baffled and frightened. It was a strange series of events that remains one of the most documented paranormal cases in history, known as the Rain Man incident. One evening, while Donnie was alone in his home, something unusual happened. He was sitting in his living room when water began dripping from the walls and ceiling. At first, it seemed like a small leak, but soon, water was cascading from various points inside the house. Puzzled, the family returned home and quickly contacted their landlord to inspect the plumbing. The landlord found no issues. The pipes were intact, there were no leaks in the roof, and perhaps most strangely, it wasn't raining outside. The unexplained water continued to appear, and tension in the house grew. Even with Donnie sitting quietly or asleep, the water phenomenon persisted, leaving the family with no logical explanation. At this point, more alarming things began to happen. Objects in the house seemed to move on their own. Pots and pans would slide off counters, and chairs would shift positions without being touched. Donnie himself seemed to be at the center of these disturbances. Several times he fell into a trance-like state, during which he appeared detached and unaware of his surroundings. Witnesses reported that during these episodes, Donnie would occasionally levitate a few feet off the ground. The local police were called in, and some officers personally observed the strange water occurrences. One of the officers later recalled that, as they stood in the kitchen, water droplets materialized on the walls with no visible source. For the officers, it was unlike anything they had ever seen, further deepening the mystery. Word of Donnie's experiences began to spread, and soon paranormal investigators arrived, eager to understand what was going on. Theories ranged from the paranormal to psychological explanations. Some believed that Donnie's childhood trauma had triggered a poltergeist-like activity, where repressed emotions could manifest physically. Others wondered if the stress from his grandfather's passing had somehow unleashed a supernatural force beyond his control. One of the most chilling aspects of the case occurred when Donnie was later jailed for a minor offense. Even while incarcerated, the strange events continued. Water inexplicably appeared in his cell, shocking guards and inmates alike. The prison staff, bewildered, had no explanation for how the water could manifest so consistently in Donnie's presence. The Donnie Decker case remains one of the most bizarre and unexplained phenomena in modern history. Some believe that the strange occurrences were the result of Decker's ability to control supernatural forces, while skeptics argue that the water could have been manipulated or that there were psychological elements involved. To this day, the case is unsolved, and the exact cause of the events remains a mystery. Our final story takes us to South Shields, England, in 2013. It's a chilling tale of fear and bravery experienced by a 16-year-old girl named Ashley Murray. On this day, what began as a quiet afternoon at home quickly turned into a nightmare. Ashley had stayed home from school because she was feeling unwell. The house was quiet, with only the occasional creak of the building settling. The front door was locked, and Ashley felt safe. But that sense of security was abruptly shattered when she heard a loud crash coming from downstairs. Ashley's heart began to race. She listened closely from her room, trying to make sense of the noise. At first, she thought she might be imagining things, but then she heard unmistakable footsteps. Someone had broken into her home. Fear gripped Ashley as she realized the danger. She quickly locked her bedroom door and grabbed her phone, texting her mother in desperation. But she knew waiting for help wasn't an option. The intruder was getting closer. Thinking on her feet, Ashley opened her bedroom window and climbed out onto the roof. Her heart pounded in her chest as she crouched low, hoping to stay hidden. From her vantage point, she could see the intruder moving around inside her room. He was searching through her belongings, completely unaware of her presence just a few feet above. Ashley watched in horror as the man rifled through her drawers and tossed her things aside. Each minute felt like an eternity. Finally, the intruder left her room and wandered to another part of the house. Seizing the opportunity, Ashley climbed back through her window and immediately called the police. The authorities arrived soon after and arrested the intruder. He was later found to be a repeat offender, known for similar crimes in the area. Though Ashley was shaken, she was relieved to have escaped without physical harm. The experience left a deep impact on Ashley. Her home, once a place of comfort and safety, had become a scene of terror. The sense of violation and fear lingered long after the incident. This story serves as a stark reminder that even the safest places can become scenes of danger. It highlights the unsettling reality that our homes, which we consider secure, can sometimes turn into places of fear. Ashley's ordeal is a powerful example of how vulnerable we can be, even in our own living spaces. If this story has unsettled you, remember the importance of staying vigilant and taking precautions to protect your safety. Sometimes the greatest threats come from the places we least expect. These stories remind us that safety, even in the comfort of our own homes, can sometimes be an illusion. Katie Beers, Donnie Decker, and Ashley Murray all faced unimaginable terror in places where they should have felt most secure. Their stories are chilling examples of how quickly life can change and how the familiar can turn into a nightmare. So, the next time you're home alone, take a moment to look around. Pay attention to the sounds you might normally ignore, because as these stories show, anything can happen, even when you least expect it. If these true accounts have left you feeling unsettled, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Stay alert, stay aware, and remember, sometimes the real danger isn't outside, it's already inside